viewers on YouTube. How you doing? What show are we on?
The Truth is Viral.
The Truth is Viral, people. So take 2 penicillins and call me in the morning.
you don't talk about at parties. You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
Keep this frequency clear.
And now it's conspiracy. See, they've made that something that should not be even entertained for a minute. That powerful people might get together and have a plan. Doesn't happen. You're a kook. You're a conspiracy buff.
You're watching The Truth is Viral, the only news program on the internet trusted to deliver the truth since 2008. And now, here's your host, Mr. Bobby Powell.
Well, welcome back to The Truth is Viral, folks. My name is Bob Powell. I'm sorry for the interruption earlier. I lost all internet. It was just gone. And then the township comes up and tells me that they're going to tear up my road tomorrow. I mean, and not just my road, but my my yard. I was kind of laughing at the guy down the road from me the other day. Because he got his yard tore up. And I'm going to show you this here. This is awesome. The way these guys are getting out there in the freezing cold temperatures. You got to watch this. This is great. What I'm trying to figure out at the moment, though, is how is he going to get dirt into that cavity way in there behind dude that's about to get covered up in the sand. So yeah, they're going to do that to my yard tomorrow. 3 feet deep under there. Gotta love living in northern Michigan. The topsoil on top, and there's that huge cavity where the water mains freeze and bust on a daily basis. Slowly and carefully, I hope. Yeah, slowly and carefully. Jeez, what a mess. But anyway, yeah, we had a little bit of excitement while I was rebooting everything. Ooh, as long as I've got the Facebook up, I want to show you guys something. The joys of being an internet broadcaster. You gotta check this out. This is great. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay, there's pictures of the mess they made in the road yesterday. They had so much topsoil up on the street that the truck was buried. But here, yeah, look at this. You will be murdered, Bob Powell, God willing. I just love the peaceful and tolerant left, don't you? Oh my gosh, these guys are wonderful. That's a great way to wake up in the morning. Just see a nice little death threat there. So yeah, well, sheriff's on top of it, no problem. But yeah, let's take a look at see what Donald Trump had to say about the shooting in Florida yesterday. It was a tragic event. It really was. It broke my heart. 17 beautiful young lives snuffed out, and it's just awful to think about. And after the president's done making his remarks, I'm going to bring on my friend Rick Ector. Rick Ector is the owner of Rick's Firearm Academy in Detroit, and we're going to have his expert analysis on the left's instantaneous call for gun control. The bodies of those babies weren't even told before they said, well, we've got to have gun control. Well, after the president's remarks, Rick Ector and I will opine on that, and then you'll get to call in, area code 218-548-7742, and enter the code 2018, and we will take your phone calls and let you express your opinions. So, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Today I speak to a nation in grief. Yesterday, a school filled with innocent children and caring teachers became the scene of terrible violence, hatred, and evil. Around 2:30 yesterday afternoon, police responded to reports of gunfire at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, a great and safe community. There, a shooter, who is now in custody, opened fire on defenseless students and teachers. He murdered 17 people and badly wounded at least 14 others. Our entire nation, with one heavy heart, is praying for the victims and their families. To every parent, teacher, and child who is hurting so badly, we are here for you, whatever you need, whatever we can do to ease your pain. We are all joined together as one American family, and your suffering is our burden also. No child, no teacher should ever be in danger in an American school. No parent should ever have to fear for their sons and daughters when they kiss them goodbye in the morning. Each person who was stolen from us yesterday had a full life ahead of them, a life filled with wondrous beauty and unlimited potential and promise. Each one had dreams to pursue, love to give, and talents to share with the world. And each one had a family to whom they meant everything in the world. Today we mourn for all of those who lost their lives. We comfort the grieving and the wounded. And we hurt for the entire community of Parkland, Florida, that is now in shock and pain and searching for answers. To law enforcement, first responders, and teachers who responded so bravely in the face of danger, we thank you for your courage. Soon after the shooting, I spoke with Governor Scott to convey our deepest sympathies to the people of Florida and our determination to assist in any way that we can. I also spoke with Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi and Broward County Sheriff Scott Israel. I'm making plans to visit Parkland, to meet with families and local officials, and to continue coordinating the federal response. In these moments of heartache and darkness, we hold on to God's word in Scripture. I have heard your prayer and seen your tears. I will heal you. We trust in that promise, and we hold fast to our fellow Americans in their time of sorrow. I want to speak now directly to America's children, especially those who feel lost, alone, confused, or even scared. I want you to know that you are never alone and you never will be. You have people who care about you, who love you, and who will do anything at all to protect you. If you need help, turn to a teacher, a family member, a local police officer, or a faith leader. Answer hate with love, answer cruelty with kindness. We must also work together to create a culture in our country that embraces the dignity of life, that creates deep and meaningful human connections, and that turns classmates and colleagues into friends and neighbors. Our administration is working closely with local authorities to investigate the shooting and learn everything we can. We are committed to working with state and local leaders to help secure our schools and tackle the difficult issue of mental health. Later this month, I will be meeting with the nation's governors and attorney generals. We're making our schools and our children safer will be our top priority. It is not enough to simply take actions that make us feel like we are making a difference. We must actually make that difference. In times of tragedy, the bonds that sustain us are those of family, faith, community, and country. These bonds are stronger than the forces of hatred and evil, and these bonds grow even stronger in the hours of our greatest need. And so always, but especially today, let us hold our loved ones close. Let us pray for healing and for peace. And let us come together as one nation to wipe away the tears and strive for a much better tomorrow. Thank you, and God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Oh, there we go. Might be better if I turned on my microphone. Anyway, jeez. So, what I was trying to tell you guys is that I'm trying to get a hold of Rick Ector, and he's the owner of Rick's Firearm Academy in Detroit. He's just trying to call me on Facebook, and it's not working for some reason, so I'm going to try to get a hold of him on Skype. Okay. So yeah, was telling these folks last night, I was doing a little bit of writing, and I was telling them, you know, I can remember when the hardware store sold dynamite. Okay, there wasn't an epidemic of bombings. You know, they sold it over the counter to farmers that wanted to remove stumps and boulders and whatnot. You know, the problem that we've got is a sickness in the hearts of men, a sickness that's been growing like a cancer since the 60s when God was taken out of the schools. Humanism is the new religion, and morality plays no role in it. Kids today are raised by the internet, watching movies that glorify violence, listening to music that denigrates women by calling them hoes and bitches, playing video games like Grand Theft Auto that encourages you to kill innocents and police officers in order to rack up points. The tools of destruction haven't changed since Alfred Nobel invented dynamite. Our society has changed to become more self-centered, greedy, and violent. That's one thing that you cannot blame on conservative Christian white men. We fought that, and we lost. You're now seeing the results of the victory of progressive liberalism. I wonder how that victory tastes. A little bitter and coppery, like blood. Well, I hope they enjoy their reward. You know, all over the country, before those babies were even cold, they raised the battle cry. The Republicans and the NRA have blood on their hands. Well, that's not right. The blood is on the hands of radical leftist teachers who've been teaching their students to think of conservatives as Nazis that must be killed. The blood is on the hands of the video game manufacturers that create those games like Grand Theft Auto, teaching our kids to virtually kill people without remorse. In fact, get rewarded for it. You don't think that doesn't have an effect on their psychological development, because it does. The blood is on the hands of liberal Hollywood, which cries for gun control on one hand and then makes violent movies glorifying gun violence on the other. The blood's on the hands of anarcho-communist terrorist groups like Antifa. Takes kids out into the streets to cause mayhem and encourages punching Nazis. And of course, Nazi is anybody on the right. Anybody. Okay? The blood's on the hands of those that support an agenda designed to confuse children so much that they don't even know which bathroom to use. You know, there's only two genders, folks. XX and XY. That's a fact. The blood's on the hands of absent parents who let the internet and television raise their children, medicating them with potent psychotropic drugs instead of spending time with them or disciplining them. You know, when I was a kid, they didn't have ADHD. My dad had the BELT. And that was my medication when I was overreacting. But the blood is on the hands of Big Pharma, which encourages doctors to prescribe those drugs to children that don't need them. Ritalin is basically methamphetamine, which real Nazis gave to the troops to allow them to commit atrocities and not be racked with guilt. Every school shooter, every single one, has one thing in common. They were all on antidepressant medications, usually an SSRI, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. Guns are not the enemy, they're simply tools. The enemy is the so-called resistance and progressive ideals that are turning our children into killers. Excuse me for just a minute, my mouth is really dry. I haven't been asleep. I've been running on coffee for quite a while. Still waiting on Rick Ector to call. Call me on Skype, Rick. He's got a lot of good things to say. You'll like him. I've had him on the show several times. Usually, the shows are censored by YouTube because they have to do with the subject of guns. While we're waiting on that, let me play something for you. This is a video that I put together after the Pulse nightclub shooting, and I updated the title after the Las Vegas massacre, but I didn't change the content. I'm gonna have to redo this because you can't stop school shootings, you can't stop massacres in nightclubs or pizza parlors. People are gonna keep on killing, and we've got to find a way to deal with it. And thankfully, most of the conversation, well, not most, but a lot, has been turning towards mental health. And I agree that people that have that are mentally ill, people that have been committed, you know, for a mental illness, need to not have guns. I don't think that everybody should have a gun. Only people that are, you know, responsible enough to do that. And honestly, not everybody is. So let me pull this up for you, and we will get going. See, I'm actually doing the jobs of 4 people at once. I'm as busy as a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest around here, behind the scenes, that you guys can't see. Yeah, there we go. That'll work out. Yeah, you're going to like this because it has immutable facts in it. And I'm going to put a link to it at the end of the show and in the video description below, so that you can share it with liberals and try and maybe knock some sense into them. Maybe they're not all too far gone to listen to common sense.
You're watching The Truth is Viral, the only news program on the internet trusted to deliver the truth since 2008. And now, here's your host, Mr. Bobby Powell.
Welcome back to The Truth is Viral. My name is Bob Powell, and this is a short first in the series I'm going to call Common Sense. After the ISIS-inspired Islamic terrorist attack on the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, which maimed 53 people and snuffed out the lives of 49 others, the topic of gun control is once again front and center on the American stage. What's different this time is that some conservative pundits and legislators are joining with the anti-gun left to call for restrictions on firearms, and they are doing so from a position of ignorance. Fox News anchor Gretchen Carlson took to the air to ask the question, should assault weapons be banned? Let's see what she's got to say.
Every time we have a mass shooting, we talk about guns, right? Yes, the Orlando massacre was terror. But there's no doubt that Omar Mateen was able to kill so many people because he was firing an AR-15.
Well, first off, Ms. Carlson, the weapon used by the Islamic terrorist in Orlando was not an AR-15. This is the weapon used by the assailant. It's called a Sig Sauer MCX carbine. It's a modular, multi-caliber weapon system
that can be customized to fire a variety of different caliber rounds, including 5.56 NATO, 300 BLK, and 7.62 by 3.9. The only thing that weapon has in common with the AR-15, other than the fact that it is black, is that it accepts standard magazines, which are common to scores of different firearms. I'd like to point out that the gun control legislation currently before Congress specifically exempts this weapon, a Mini 14 named after my late wife Delynn, from further restrictions. Yet it would ban the sale of weapons such as this AR-15, named in honor of my late daughter Ashley. Both of these beautiful ladies are lightweight, gas-operated, magazine-fed, air-cooled semi-automatic rifles. Both weapons fire .223 caliber and 5.56 NATO rounds at a muzzle velocity of 3,200 feet per second. Both weapons have an effective range of just over 500 yards. Both weapons are semi-automatic, and that means that they are not machine guns, as the liar Dirty Harry Reid proclaimed on the floor of the Senate. A machine gun will continue firing with one press of the trigger until the shooter lifts that finger from the trigger. But both of these weapons send only one round downrange with each pull of the trigger. Fully automatic firearms are already banned for civilian use by the National Firearms Act of 1934, the Gun Control Act of 1968, and the Firearm Ownership Protection Act of 1986. Fully automatic firearms are for military and police use almost exclusively. You cannot buy them at Walmart. By every scientific and practical measure, these weapons are identical in function. The only differences are cosmetic. And anyone who says any different is either ignorant of the subject matter, a left-wing gun grabber, or a special kind of stupid. The Mini 14 weighs in at 6 pounds 6 ounces without ammunition. The AR-15, 1 pound 1 ounce less. That's because instead of the wooden stock on the Mini 14, the AR uses a composite plastic barrel guard that allows for the easy installation of accessories. Let's take a look at some of those accessories, shall we? This flashlight does not make the weapon any deadlier, but it did come in handy as I left the woods each night last hunting season. This laser sight does not make the weapon any deadlier, just more accurate. The telescoping stock does not make the weapon any deadlier, just easier to customize to the length of the shooter's arm. The pistol grip does not make the weapon any deadlier, just easier to control. The flash suppressor does not make the weapon any deadlier, just more polite. Most importantly, the black color does not make this weapon any deadlier. And if anybody thinks that it does, then they just might be a racist. Or really, really dumb. Hashtag Black Guns Matter. So, back to Gretchen. An AR-15 was not used to murder all of those innocent people, but let's not allow that inconvenient fact to muddy the discussion. Please do continue.
He was firing an AR-15, a military-style assault weapon. A weapon easier to buy in the state of Florida than buying a handgun. Florida sets a 3-day waiting period for purchasing handguns, but the state mandates no waiting period for any gun that requires 2 hands to hold.
The reason that Florida has a 3-day waiting period for handguns is because handguns are used in a majority of firearm homicides. It's called a cooling off period, and it is designed to allow those who get so angry at another person that they think buying a gun and taking their life would be a good idea, time to think about that decision. The reason that there is no waiting period to buy a rifle is that less than 1% of firearm homicides are committed with a rifle of any kind. The latest FBI statistics reveal that out of the 8,124 gun murders committed in 2014, only 248 were committed with rifles, and so-called assault rifles comprised only a subset of that number. In 2014, an American citizen was twice as likely to be beaten to death with an assailant's bare hands, and more than 5 times as likely to be stabbed to death than they were to be killed by an AR-15. In fact, if one were to discount gun homicides in the cities of Chicago, Detroit, New Orleans, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C., where Democrats and drug gangs overwhelmingly use handguns to turn the streets of those cities into battlefields that are bloodier than any in Afghanistan, the United States would be the 4th safest country on the planet. So maybe if we really want to decrease gun violence, we should ban Democrats.
President Obama and gun control advocates have repeatedly called for reinstating the federal ban on semi-automatic assault weapons that expired in 2004. Congress has said no.
Congress said no because the assault weapons ban signed into law by Bill Clinton is widely recognized to have been an utter waste of time and energy, having negligible impact on real-life gun violence at all. Clinton even blamed passage of the ban on the subsequent trouncing received by Democrats in the polls. Republicans remember that. Just ask the New York Times how successful the Clinton assault weapons ban was at the time.
So what do you think? A recent Quinnipiac poll shows 58% of you support banning the sale of assault-style weapons. So here's my question today. Do we need AR-15s to hunt and kill deer? Do we need them to protect our families?
The answer to that question is yes. We do need the lightweight, accurate AR-15 to hunt deer and protect our families. But, as Judge Andrew Napolitano has stated many times on Fox, the Second Amendment is not about hunting, nor even personal protection. The Second Amendment was added to the Constitution to give we the people the ability to overthrow a tyrannical government should that dark day ever come. And to listen to the ACLU, that day has already come. You can click this link right here to hear ACLU attorney Nate Wessler call Barack Obama judge, jury, and executioner, a set of characteristics described by founding father James Madison as the very definition of tyranny in Federalist Paper number 43.
Yes, I'm in favor of people being able to carry. I think some of these mass shootings would have been less deadly if that were the case.
I'm so happy that you agree I have a natural right to life, Miss Carlson. You know, I was in a shopping center not too far from here the other day, and a little old lady come up behind me and tapped me on the shoulder, and she pointed to my weapon and she said, "That's cool. I wish more people would carry guns." No, ma'am, I said, it's not cool. But in today's world, it's absolutely necessary. And I'll tell you one other thing. You could not possibly be safer than you are right at this very moment. She liked that. So I will continue to carry my weapon every single day, 24/7, 365, in order to preserve my life and the lives of the innocents around me. I have to, because as a conservative Christian publisher, I get death threats all of the time, but the FBI won't do anything about it. Why? Probably because I'm a conservative Christian publisher. One man who offered a reward for my death and the deaths of my family members, in addition to explicitly threatening the lives of federal agents in a YouTube video, is still actively posting.
If it means I have to put a bullet in a government agent or two, so be it.
As far as I know, the FBI never even went out to see him, even though I, told them about him over almost 2 years ago now. So I assume responsibility for my safety and the safety of those people that I love, and anybody else that happens to be in the general vicinity.
But I'm also with the majority today, taking a stand. Can't we hold true the sanctity of the Second Amendment while still having common sense? And that brings us to our question of the day. Should Congress reinstate the assault weapons ban? I know a lot of you aren't agree with me today. That's fine. That's what makes America great. Look, you don't. 89% of you say no. 11% say yes. Tweet me at Gretchen Carlson. Use the hashtag #TheRealStory. This is why we are America.
Ms. Carlson, before the Pulse nightclub massacre, the highest mass shooting body count was racked up by the Virginia Tech shooter who killed 32 and injured 17 with 2 handguns, a Glock 19 and a Walther P22, both popular and easily available weapons. Timothy McVeigh snuffed out the lives of 168 people at Oklahoma City's Alfred P. Murrah building, including 19 babies, and maimed another 680 with a truck full of fertilizer and racing fuel. Julio Gonzalez killed 87 people when he used a few gallons of gas and a book of matches to torch New York City's Happy Land Social Club in 1990. Terrorists armed with knives killed 29 and wounded 130 people at a Chinese train station in 2014, and the Palestinian knife intifada continues to this day. On 9/11/2001, the worst terrorist attack the U.S. has ever experienced, which took the lives of more than 3,000 innocent people, was carried out by Muslims, armed with nothing more than box cutters and pepper spray. A gun is just a tool, folks. It's a hard heart that kills. and a sick one that murders innocents at school, at work, or at play. Until somebody comes up with a test to determine the content of a person's heart, there will always be evil people in the world who will use any available method to advance whatever devilish agenda has infected their twisted minds. Further restricting guns is not the answer, especially not now when we are at war with radical Islam. When any trip to our children's schools, a mall, restaurant, movie theater, or dance club could turn into a life or death situation. I fear that soft targets such as these will be targeted by ISIS terrorists more and more, and in the 9 minutes minimum that it takes police to respond to a call for help, hundreds could die. Every American citizen is a member of the militia referred to by the Second Amendment, and they should have weaponry that at least gives them a fighting chance against the modern weapons certain to be wielded by tyrants or terrorists. Now is the time for that American militia to train to repel attacks on this great nation by the bloodthirsty followers of a bloodthirsty religion and a bloodthirsty God. Even Greg Gutfeld says so. And who am I to argue with Greg? He's like Mighty Mouse. And that's my take.
Yeah, so that was my take on that after the Pulse nightclub shooting. And I'd like to hear what you've got to say. If you want to call 218-548-7742 and enter the code 2018, we'll take your calls and see what you've got to say about this. Because, folks, they're blaming the wrong thing. They're blaming a tool. They're blaming an inanimate object. You know, I can take any one of my weapons and set it in the corner, and I can yell at it and scream at it and call it dirty and rotten names, and it's not going to do anything. It's not going to jump off the chair and start a mass killing spree. Okay, it's like a hammer, and you got to hit a nail with it. It's a tool. Like I said, it's a hard heart that kills. And most of the people that have committed mass shootings, nearly all of them, matter of fact, all of them that I know of, have been on some kind of an antidepressant medication, usually an SSRI. And that's a problem. You know, we've got a sick society. But drugs are not the way to fix it. You can't just take a happy pill. That's what's wrong with these kids today, these Antifa and others that they're basically just throwing tantrums in the street because their parents have always given them everything that they want. You notice that most of these communist jerk-offs are well-to-do. Like Tim Kaine's son was arrested as part of an Antifa riot. And that's great parenting there, Governor Kaine. So yeah, people don't raise their kids anymore. I guess in a way I was lucky when I was injured and couldn't work for a long time, because I was there with my kids all the time. My wife went out and worked, and I was the stay-at-home dad, so I'd raise the kids. And not only did I enjoy it, but I was able to keep all 5 of them out of jail and off the stripper pole, which is a feat in these times. So yeah, all my kids are doing great, and I'm really proud of them. And you know, that's another thing. This I'm sure you've seen the memes on Facebook. If you're not a coward and you're proud to be white, share this. I'm like, why? Okay, you got Black Pride. Yeah. Viva la raza. Yeah. Do they have... Chinese pride, I don't know. But if they did, yeah. They got gay pride, yeah. White pride, racist. But it's all made up. It's a joke. Why be proud of something that you were born with, the color of your skin? You did not earn that. Be proud of accomplishments. That's the way I was raised. I was proud the day that I was given the EGA, the Eagle Globe and Anchor, made me a United States Marine. I earned that. And I'm proud of it. I'm proud of my children because, dang, they're good. And they had a hard row to hoe. Dad in a wheelchair. Mom working 2 jobs. And just as I was starting to get better, their mom got sick. With our last child, she got diabetic neuropathy spread all over her body. She was in pain 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then she got cancer and died. So the last 13 years of her life, she was in a lot of pain. But it's funny the way life works. Okay, when I was first injured, like I said, I was in a wheelchair, couldn't walk, and I was in 2 accidents right back to back. And the first one stole my ability to read, write, and speak. Okay, there was a chemical spill at the place I was staying during the Gulf War, and it's called a chemical called toluene diisocyanate. And the office where I was working at the time, 38 people went to the hospital, and I woke up 3 days later. I didn't know where I was, couldn't speak, couldn't eat, well, not eat, but couldn't speak, couldn't read, couldn't write, because the chemical had damaged an area of my brain called Broca's area, which controls all that, right? Well, a year later, I'm on my roof repairing some shingles, and I fall off and break my back. And so now I've got 2 pretty serious injuries to deal with. But my wife was a trooper. She took care of me. Okay, when I would get up off the couch and wonder why. I mean, everybody's gone into a room and forgotten why they went into the room, right? Well, that was me, like, constantly. And she took care of me. I was in that wheelchair and couldn't walk. She took care of me. Made my meals. Sometimes helped me go to the bathroom. And then just as I was learning how to walk and talk and, just get better, I've still got a little bit of a stutter. I'm sure you can tell. It's a little, they call it aphasia. It's like getting a word stuck on the tip of your tongue. Okay, but I've got to deal with it a lot more than most people do. But anyway, I'm getting better, and then she gets sick, and I get to take care of her. That was the greatest privilege of my life. But through it all, our kids had 2 parents in the home. 2 parents that loved each other and loved God. When you make that promise before God for better or worse in sickness and in health, it's not a suggestion. 50% of today's marriages fail. Probably more than that. That was just the last time I checked. But that's the way I consider my oath, the one that I took in the Marine Corps, to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. That's got no expiration date either. But these kids, these Antifa, anarchists, communists, and like sovereign citizens, you know, they don't know what it means to pledge yourself to something greater than you, because they think it's all about them, that they are the end-all be-all authority of their lives. I mean, nobody can tell me what to do. Well, we live in a society designed on what they called during the Enlightenment the social contract. Okay, where the citizens, you know, elect representatives, send to Congress, and when we send them there, we expect them to do what we send them there to do. And in return, you know, we agree to abide by the laws that our representatives create. It's supposed to be a back and forth relationship. You can't just go to the voting booth every 4 years and hit the Republican or the Democratic lever and coast on cruise control. That's how we got in the mess that we're in today. Because everything was great for so long. We had won the Cold War. We had microwave ovens. The economy was booming. People had jobs. Everything was great. Computers came into our lives. Made keeping recipes really easy at first. And then CompuServe started it all. And MySpace. And Facebook. Twitter. And it slowly sucked us in to the point where we can't live anymore without our phone in our hand, constantly looking at it for status updates and likes and comments and all that other stuff. And people literally will go and get around the table, and instead of paying attention to their friends or their family, they're paying attention to their damn phone. And I got to admit, I'm guilty of that sometimes too. But I really do try every now and then to make an effort to just unplug and spend some time with my family. You've got to. You can't be plugged into the internet 24 hours a day. Because if you are, then all you see is the bad stuff. And particularly with these Macedonian trolls that are on Facebook now. Do you know that there is an electronic cyber warfare going on in the United States? And yes, it is sponsored by the Russians. But it wasn't to elect Donald Trump president. It's to destroy our country. I've been watching these Macedonian trolls. They post stuff that's both far right and far left. And it's not just ideological arguments either. You know, just nasty stuff about the president or about Democratic members of Congress or whoever. I mean, it's just nasty, and a lot of it's fake news. Because people don't take the time to research what they're reading. Most of the time on Facebook, you're just scrolling by and you read the headline and you like and share it, and you haven't even read the damn story. And if you do read the story, and it's so outrageous, like Hillary Clinton indicted for treason, okay, that's something that you want to check. Okay, here's an easy way to check whether a story is real. Select the first sentence out of the story, put it in Google, and see where else it appears. If it only comes back to Conservative USA Daily News 24.com, well, you can pretty much guarantee that's fake news. Now, you can't trust Snopes. You can't trust PolitiFact because they're both financed by George Soros. Over at Snopes, they got hookers and thieves running the show. Hey, God bless you, Tony. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. No, you've got to do this research yourself, folks. And just because somebody that you like or agree with is saying something, if the claim sounds too good to be true, well, the old maxim says it usually is. Okay. You have to take an interest in politics. They say all politics is local, and it's true. It starts with you. You cannot trust people that you send to Washington, D.C. because they're crooks. I mean, they're not necessarily crooks when they go, but by the time that they've been in there for a term or two, they become crooks. Because the money is there. Political action committees and lobbyists throwing money at you, free dinners, free golf vacations. And it's really apparently too tempting for these people to turn down. And once they've fattened you up a little bit, you say, well, hey, do you remember when I got you those KISS concert tickets front row? Yeah. Well, there's this bill over here, the clean water bill. But it's not really a clean water bill. And I want you to vote for it. And they fall for it almost every time. You know, there are like over 30 millionaires in Congress, in the Senate, and the top 10, 7 of them are Democrats. And Nancy Pelosi, one of the longest serving Democrats, is the richest one with a net worth of $101 million. Until they voted themselves a raise not too long ago, she was making $175,000 a year. So how in the world can she amass a fortune of $101 million without being dirty? The Clintons are the same way. So is John McCain. He's got a foundation that the Saudis contribute money to, just like Hillary Clinton did. And with any luck, he'll be going to jail too. You never know. You know, the Bible says that before Christ returns, everything will be revealed. Every hidden thing will be revealed. And I really hope that it is. I really, really do. Because before I die, this is my bucket wish. Okay, my bucket list top wish, okay? For once in my life, I want to see some justice done. Everybody knows that Hillary Clinton is a crook. You know, she committed a felony under the Espionage Act with her bathroom server. There's no doubt about that. I mean, Comey said that no reasonable lawyer would bring charges. Bullshit. Every reasonable lawyer would have brought charges. And I'll tell you, if I could speak to the Secret Service detail around Hillary Clinton right now, I'd say, what the hell are you doing? Your oath to the United States Constitution supersedes any loyalty that you might have to your principal. During the Republican National Convention, I went up to a Secret Service officer and I asked him, if you were to see your charge, your principal, your protectee commit a murder, what would you do? What would your priorities be? And he says, man, don't ask me that question. I just pray that I never have to deal with it. Well, it would seem to me that the choice is simple. Your oath and your duty to the Constitution supersedes everything. So I would say to the Secret Service detail that's protecting Hillary Clinton, you have a duty to arrest her. Just arrest her on the one felony count that we know that we can prove. Then let the process take care of itself. Turn her into the jail in Washington, D.C. Let her post bail, if bail is warranted. If I was a judge, I wouldn't give her bail. And let her go to trial. I mean, we know that she's guilty of violating the Espionage Act. Peter Strzok changed the language from careless to gross misconduct. And come on, it's picking nits. They just did that so that they wouldn't have to charge her. Well, I would say that the Secret Service surrounding Hillary Clinton has a duty to arrest her and bring her to justice. And I would say the same thing to the FBI agents, especially the one that's watching my show. I see you. Every time that I do a sound check and the video is unlisted and private, I see that one viewer that I've got. So I don't know what you did, or how you screwed up so badly that you've been put on Bobby duty, but I feel really sorry for you, dude. It's got to be the most boring job in the world. But anyway, FBI agents know that their superiors are dirty. They know that Andrew McCabe is dirty. They know that Jim Comey was dirty when he was the director of the FBI. They know that Peter Strzok is dirty. And forget the names that are in the news. What better place to become a crook than to be a federal agent or a border control guard? I've always said that most people that put on a badge and a uniform are my heroes. They really are, because they take it upon themselves to go out and protect and serve. They really do. I know cops at all levels: city, state, federal, county, and they're all good people. These ones that I know. But I also know that there are cops that are dirty as hell. Cops that abuse their power, and beat suspects that are already handcuffed, or they're making deals with hookers. Matter of fact, that was the one thing that impressed me when I first moved up here to Alpena. They've got a narcotics team called the Hunt Team, Huron Undercover Narcotics Team. And the sheriff arrested the commander because he had, the commander of the Hunt Team, because he had been having inappropriate relations. He was screwing one of his informants, basically. So I knew that my local sheriff was not dirty. That he was somebody that I could count on, and I like to think that we're pretty good friends. And that took a while. When I first moved up here, they didn't know what to make of me, but I think I eventually won them over, and they've helped me. They really have. Whenever I've had a death threat, when that idiot from Portland came out here and delivered me a poison pizza, they were on it, and I really appreciate that. And I think that most people, like I said, that put on a uniform are good, decent people. But we know that there are thieves, liars, murderers, people that dishonor the badge. And they're not arrested, even though so-called good cops, they're buddies and partners, they see it and they don't do anything. Well, that makes you kind of complicit, doesn't it? The FBI's reputation is in tatters. Of course, it was built around the tactics of J. Edgar Hoover, a cross-dressing power freak who maintained files on everybody, spied on everybody. Can't believe that they named the FBI building after him. He was the ultimate dirty cop. He had Martin Luther King under surveillance. Thought he was a communist. He was a Republican. And, they even sent letters to him telling him he should kill himself. I mean, what kind of garbage is that? But, regardless. And Lavoy Finicum. Okay? They murdered that man in Oregon. And then the FBI HRT snipers lied about it. And here's a little bit of breaking news. The one FBI sniper, Joseph Astorita, he's going to have some company soon. Because there was not one sniper that fired at Lavoy Finicum. There were two. And the evidence that's going to indict the second FBI agent for lying is in Ryan Bundy's arm. And that's coming out, the bullet. And I know, I'm not going to tell you how I know, but when that bullet comes out, they're going to take charge of it. Good people are going to take charge of it. And they're going to charge a second FBI agent with lying to Oregon State investigators. I wish they had charged him with attempted murder, because if there's one thing that an FBI agent can do, an HRT sniper, it's hit the target that they're aiming at. When Lavoy Finicum's truck stopped the first time, the FBI agents peered into that car. They knew where everybody was sitting. Of course, they already knew that from the information that Mark McConnell gave them. Dirty rat. But, that they confirmed where everybody was sitting in the car. And when Lavoy Finicum's truck got caught in the snow, one of the FBI snipers fired from above and behind the truck. That's the bullet that went into his arm. Had he not been on the floorboard at the time, that bullet would have gone straight through his head. And they knew it. He was aiming at it. He was counting on it. But he couldn't see his target through the roof of the truck and didn't know he was on the floorboard. So he missed. The FBI's own guidelines say that dead man's roadblock like that should only be used to stop a fleeing felon. Lavoy Finicum was not a fleeing felon. He was not a criminal of any kind. The worst, they could have charged him with trespassing. And had he lived beyond January 26th, he would have been found innocent along with the rest of the Bundys. Lon Horiuchi lied after he shot Vicki Weaver in the face while she was holding her baby. Then he lied again at Waco when he said that he hadn't taken any shots at the Branch Davidians as they were fleeing their burning compound, but congressional testimony proved that he was a liar again. And is he sanctioned? Even though the government had to pay over $3 million to Randy Weaver's family, was he sanctioned then? No, he wasn't sanctioned at Waco either. No, they retired him. Finally. But he didn't spend any time in jail. Not a single second. That's why I really want to see some justice done before I die. And I want the justice system, the one that I believe in, the one that I swore to uphold and protect, the Article 3 courts that are a part of our Constitution. I want that to be the avenue that we take. I want there to be public trials. I want the truth to come out for once. Because the truth is all we have. You know, they say information is power. Well, truthful information is an atom bomb. Like sunlight. It's the best disinfectant. I want these people to spend time in prison. Because that's what they deserve. In the case of a few special traitors, well, the Constitution has a remedy for that, too. And make no mistake, Hillary Clinton was an out and out traitor. She not only sold her position for money, she armed ISIS terrorists in Syria with weapons that she stole from Gaddafi's armory after she had had Christopher Stevens killed, because she doesn't have friends. She said that he was her friend. The Clintons don't have friends. They have cutouts. And that's why they've got such a long trail of bodies behind them. Vince Foster was their friend. Ron Brown was their friend. We've had a lot of friends who mysteriously die. End up shooting themselves in the back of the head twice with the weapon missing. Seth Rich was murdered. And I know that John Podesta and Hillary and the DNC had something to do with that, because he said it himself in the WikiLeaks emails. He says, I'm not beyond making an example out of somebody, even if that person is innocent. That's John Podesta. That was Hillary's campaign manager. Special kind of scumbag. If the Pizzagate thing is real, and I'm tending towards lending it some credence, he really needs to swing. And Donald Trump could put a big dent in our national debt too by making these executions pay-per-view events. I'd pay to see it. And it's just. Of course, we're talking about going through trials again, because I believe in justice. I believe in our system of government. The world has never seen a more perfect system of government. But John Adams said that it was designed to be run by religious and moral men, and it was wholly inadequate to the administration of any other type of government. And we don't have any, well, not many religious or moral men running our government. Most of the top guys are thieves and liars and traitors. And I think that their public executions would serve as a warning to anybody else that thinks that they can make backroom deals with ISIS or sell their position for money, betraying the United States and their oath to serve and protect it. It would serve as a very good deterrent, I would think. But the guys that keep on breaking laws, they see Hillary Clinton get off and like, oh well, as long as I know the right people, grease the right palms, I can be a criminal and get away with it too. Well, that's got to come to an end. You know, with that, when that Me Too movement came out, and it was revealed that Congress has been paying millions of dollars to the victims of sexual assault and discrimination at the hands of congressmen. That kind of just disappeared, didn't it? What happened to that? I'd like to see some names. I want to know which of my congressmen and which of my senators are sexually abusing or raping the people that work for them, or discriminating against them because of their race, sexual orientation, or gender. I want to know who these people are. Some of them have had to pay out several claims. And the money comes out of a slush fund. Over $1 million was paid out to victims last year. And we don't know who these abusers are. I'd like to see some names. Wouldn't you? And, you know, the corruption runs deep in the Justice Department and Congress. Their Justice Department's executive branch and Congress's legislative branch, they're co-equal branches of government. When Congress asks for documents from the FBI, it shouldn't be like pulling teeth. They shouldn't have to issue a subpoena to the FBI, threatening to hold the director of the FBI in contempt of Congress if he doesn't show up with the documents that they've requested. It shouldn't be like that. Congress has security clearance. They're allowed to see these documents. But the FBI doesn't want to turn them over. They claim, we lost 5 months worth of Peter Strzok's messages. And then the Office of the Inspector General, Michael Horowitz, says, bullshit, here they are. And he gives them to Congress. I thought that was hilarious. But it shouldn't be like pulling teeth to get documents from one branch to the other, or to have to threaten the Attorney General or hold him in contempt like Eric Holder in order to get the information that they need to make sure that justice is done. That's why we've got judicial oversight committees and foreign intelligence surveillance courts and committees. There's so many committees. But you know, that's the way Congress works, and they should be doing their jobs, and God love them. A few of them are trying really hard, and they're running into some pretty stiff opposition, not just from the FBI, but from the Democratic Party. Old Adam Schiff, poor guy. Bet he's shifting his pants right now before that OIG report comes out next month. So let's take a look at a few of these comments and see how everybody's doing. Yeah, God bless you too, Tony. Again, Kathleen, thank you. Patrick Dooley says, how did Cain kill Abel? Maybe we need God to make a law about rocks. Well, he put law on a rock. It says, thou shalt not kill. Oh, actually, it says, thou shalt not murder. There are situations where homicide, not murder, but homicide, the taking of a human life, is permissible in the Bible, and mostly has to do with self-defense. You know, we're actually required to come to the defense of others. So, Patrick Dooley, yeah, you were on the one of the first shows of Pete Santilli. Patrick's got a very interesting story too. He's if I recall, Patrick, it's Morgellons, right? You just put that in the comments. And I've been meaning to get you on the show, but it's just the last couple of years have been really hectic, and I'm just now starting to get my feet back underneath me. And yeah, we will definitely get you on the show, bro. Let's see, what else we got? My kid's future says government only works when government holds itself accountable. And that's the reason for the 3 co-equal branches of government. Checks and balances. Each branch is, tasked with the oversight of the other 2. And Mr. Anonymous says that there are no good presidents. Perhaps people in that position that are trying to get things done, but there is no such thing as a good president. Leadership comes from your bathroom mirror. I agree with that last sentence. Leadership begins with you. By organizing your own life along a regimen of discipline, honor, and doing the right thing. And then once you get yourself squared away, then you can help others. And like I said, the Bible says that we're required to help others. So if you don't have on every bit of God's armor, you better get to strapping it on, because folks, we're going to war. And it's not a shooting war, not yet. It's a battle against powers and principalities that we can't even see. The powers of the air, the demonic influences over the world. And we're seeing it every day. Folks, in the headlines, what could be more demonic than cutting off the head of a child, as I've seen ISIS do, or to burn pilots that are trapped in a cage? They're violent just for the sake of being violent. That is the very definition of Antichrist. And they're terrible people. Of course, we've got some terrible people that call themselves Christians too. Hillary Clinton says she's a Christian. I know she's not. Revelation 21:8 says that all liars are bound to hell. And Hillary's got a couple of other qualifiers in there too, like sexually immoral, cowardice. Yeah, that if she doesn't change her ways, she's gonna burn. And so are a lot of her friends and a lot of people in Congress, especially the ones that are hurting the children. Again, we go back to Pizzagate, and I can't say that I know that it's 100% real, but I know that at least the facts of what they call Pizzagate, I can't say that I put that all together because I haven't. But I know that there are satanic rings that traffic in children, who abuse them and eventually kill them. This is how they get their power. This is how Satan gets his power, by the sacrifice of children. Christ said that it would be better for you to put a millstone around your neck and dive into the ocean than to hurt one of his children. And it's awful. But, I know that there are portions to Pizzagate that I can prove that leads me to believe that it's real. And that is James Alefantis's Instagram account, the owner of Comet Pizza. It's covered in pedophilic images. Compare to the insignias to what's on the FBI website, and the insignias are identical. And the emails that they were sending back and forth, him and Podesta and even Barack Obama and that Marina Abramovich, the spirit cooking lady. Okay, Like, who sends to Chicago for $65,000 worth of hot dogs and pizza? Who calls having children in a pool entertainment? Yeah, we'll have some entertainment for you. These 3 kids are going to be in the pool. They'll be your entertainment. You really don't have to stretch the imagination too much to read exactly what they're talking about in these emails. So yeah, I know there's some truth to it. I can't say that the narrative that quote-unquote conspiracy theorists have come up with is 100% accurate, but I know they're on the right track. These people are evil and they need to be exposed. And they need to be sent to prison. A lot of people would say they need to be executed. No. Send them to prison. Because I know what happens to pedophiles in prison. And they deserve every bit of it. Before they go to hell, for real, they need to experience a little bit of hell on earth. I'd like to see Anthony Weiner in a maximum security prison, not the minimum security country club he's in now, but a super max where they're locked down 23 hours a day. Show program. Yeah, but that is my dream. Before I die, I'd like to see some indictments. I'd like to see some people put on trial. I'd like to see the truth to come out. And it will. Eventually. If not in this life, then in the next. You can't hide from God. He knows every dark secret in your heart. Every dark secret in my heart. I'm not holding myself out to be something special. I'm a filthy sinner just like everybody else. But I strive every day to become more like my Savior, Jesus Christ. And I want everybody else that I come in contact with to know that feeling. Because we're not perfect. Our flesh is corruptible. We're far from perfect. But God loves us. He values us. And he thinks so much of us. He wants to save us so badly that he sent his son to die on the cross and bear the penalty for sin, which is death. Because he knows that we're not capable of it. But God loves triers. If you've got a problem with, I don't know, an addiction or pornography or cheating on your wife or something like that, just stop. And if you're honestly sorry and you want to be forgiven, just ask. And like Christ said, go forth and sin no more. You may stumble again. You know, some people fall off the wagon and they got to turn in their 5-year chip and start over fresh. But that's the way it works. As long as you keep on trying to become more Christ-like every day, you get credit for that. I have gotten so far off the subject of today's show, which was gun control talk in the aftermath of that terrible shooting in Florida yesterday. But I'm going to blame it on having been up the last 24 hours and the 3 pots of coffee that I've had this morning. But folks, I want to tell you something. I'm shadow banned just about everywhere. Every time I try to post one of my shows as a response to a comment or basically any place but my own page, Facebook flags it as spam. I'm not on Twitter anymore because I called Kim Kardashian a skank. I guess you can't tell the truth there either. But I am on Gab AI, and there are some Nazis over there. But the great part is that you can smack them around as much as you like, because there's no censorship on Gab AI. So you need to follow The Truth is Viral on Gab AI. The handle is at TTiV. Follow Bobby Plus on Google Plus, and subscribe to The Truth is Viral's page on Facebook. That's facebook.com/thetruthисviral. And help us spread the word, because I've got 11,000 subscribers on The Truth is Viral page, and a lot of our posts are seen by fewer than a few dozen people. Like I said, we're being shadow banned because we are on target and we're taking incoming. So I need to build my army. We'll call it God's army, and you guys are the foot soldiers. So you need to like, comment, and share everything that I do on The Truth is Viral. Help us get this information out there. I can't do it without you. I can sit here and run my gums all day long. I've run my gums for the last hour and a half. And I hope that I've said some truthful things. Things that resonate with you. Things that would resonate with the people that you know. So help me out, introduce them to The Truth is Viral by liking, comment, and sharing. And if you have the ability, please go to bobpowell.blogspot.com and hit that PayPal button. You can make a one-time donation, or you can hit the subscribe button and make a monthly recurring donation. And that will enable me to buy some more equipment that will help me streamline my operation here, so that I'm not so busy. Like I said, I'm like a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest. Maybe I could even hire an assistant, somebody that could produce the show for me and act as my switcher operator, so that I can concentrate on my duties as host. Wouldn't take much. Whatever won't put you out. If you've got like Social Security or disability or something, please just save your money. I don't want it. I know. Believe me, I know how hard it is to live on it. I can't tell you how many times we've come to the end of the month and had to feed 4 kids on tomato soup and cheese sandwiches for a couple of days. But what I would like from you folks is to keep me covered in your prayers, and that goes for everybody. Just keep us covered in your prayers. Keep us safe from these people that are threatening to kill me. That guy from Portland came 3,500 miles one way to deliver a poisoned pizza to me. Fortunately, I'm not stupid, and I'm not going to eat a pizza that was sent by a secret admirer. But yeah, I would appreciate your prayers. Keep these people away from me, form a hedge of protection around me, and become my armor, my impenetrable armor. Oh, and I got a product for you. I haven't made the commercial yet, but we got this right here. This is called Silver Bullet Gun Oil. Okay, this is made from 13% pig fat, and it's used by Special Forces, Marine Force Recon, Navy SEALs, and even tank gunners use it in the barrels of their tanks, just to give them a little extra kick, because, like I said, it's made out of 13% pig fat, guaranteed to send an Islamic terrorist straight to hell. Now, we may not believe that, but they certainly do, and it scares the living crap out of them. So if you want a bottle of Silver Bullet Gun Oil of your own, for the moment, just hit me up on Facebook, or send me a message from wherever, and I'll get you some. I guess that's it. Thank you for watching The Truth is Viral. My name is Bob Powell, and as always, God bless, Semper Fi, and hoorah.
Thank you for watching The Truth is Viral with your host, Bobby Powell. Make sure to follow The Apocalypse on Twitter at The Truth is Viral. Like The Truth is Viral on Facebook, and if you can, please remember to donate to the cause via PayPal at www.bobpowell.blogspot.com. TTiV.com.